All right. My name is Mike Thompson. How you guys doing today? I am a big user and advocate of Wacom products. I've been using them for a long time. And so today what I'm going to be doing is a little bit of ZBrush work on continuing on this Black Panther that I started when I went on my South American tour with Wacom. If any of the students that I met at the universities are in here, big shout out to you guys. I had a real fun time coming to visit you guys and seeing, kind of your setups in the different schools and everything. That was kind of awesome. So, like I said, I'm an illustrator and a sculptor. I just picked up Sideshow Collectibles as a client, so I'm working on some stuff that's going to be turned into statues now. And normally what I do are things for movies and, like movie posters, toy packaging, that kind of stuff for illustration and also sculpture, right? So this is some of my stuff. Let me switch this here. And if you have any questions about anything, just give me a shout, and Patricio will either translate it or I can see it in the thing here.
Yes.
Cool.
Thank you, Mike. So let me say some words to these guys. Hey, chicos, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos a otro Wacom Webinars. Ya como vieron, estamos con Mike Thompson. Estamos muy contentos de tenerlo en esta ocasión, dándole seguimiento al tour que hizo con nosotros el año pasado de Black Panther, donde incluso acaba de mencionar que si lo pudieron ver, tuvieron la oportunidad de verlo el año pasado, estaba muy contento porque quiere seguir continuando con este proyecto que presentó. Sin embargo, chicos, los que estén conectados ahorita, denos un comentario o un like para que poder seguir sabiendo o enterándose de los próximos webinars que tenemos con nosotros en Wacom Webinars, en Facebook en español de Wacom, donde estamos publicando, y obviamente el sitio de Mike Thompson, donde va a presentar los demás webinars, incluso la repetición de este webinar. So, chicos, no sean tímidos, el idioma no es problema, estamos aquí para ayudarles. Mientras tanto, cuéntenos de dónde vienen, de dónde están conectados. Ya veo que Gloria Gámez nos manda saludos. Gracias. Well, Mike, please go ahead. It's your time.
All right, awesome. Thank you, man. All right, cool. So what you're seeing on the screen now is just some of the work that I've done for clients like Marvel and Hasbro. Did some stuff for Nike. Just want to show you this really quickly, just so you know who I am if you're unfamiliar with my work. This is all digital work. So even though this looks like airbrush, which is what I have my roots in, I painted this on a Cintiq using programs like Photoshop and Corel Painter. Again, some toy packaging for some of the DC characters, little Lego stuff here, some Marvel stuff, some movie stuff. But this is my work, right? So this is kind of what I do. Back in the day, I used to do hip hop artists, and this was for a Coca-Cola commercial and all that good stuff. All right, so without further ado, let's get into what I'm into now, which is more ZBrush work. And I use that kind of for my illustration as well as for statues. So what I'll do a lot of times is I'll just do a sculpture of something, use it as lighting reference, and then I'll create an illustration that looks like what you saw earlier based on it. And I can get some really good, nice lighting with things like key shots, things like that, applications like that. All right, so here's some of the workflow for one of the pieces I did of a Ninja Turtle. And you can see that I sculpted it and then used that sculpture for my final painting, which is this piece right here, right? All right, cool. So that being said, we're all caught up. Let's get into what you're here for today, which is a little bit of the Black Panther, right? So let's switch back to ZBrush, right? And you can see that I'm working on him here. He's getting there, definitely getting there. This guy started off, if I solo this out, he started off kind of looking like this, right? You know, he's not doing gang signs. I just was kind of trying to figure out his fingers for that. but actually before that, it began as just a base mesh in ZBrush, right? So it started as this guy. I went and started detailing some of the musculature, and then I posed them, and now I have this right here, okay? And just trying to figure out what the base is going to be. It's probably just going to be, you know, just like a rock setting or whatever. But once this is done, the level of detail is going to come up to this level, right? So I'll know it's done when it starts to look like this. This is a piece I did a while ago. I've been detailing it and noodling away at it for a long time, but it's my Hulk, and you can see like even skin pores and veins and things like that that are in this piece, right? Just so you guys know, I am on the Wacom 1, which is the new smaller entry-level Cintiq. It's for mobile use. It's pretty dope. Very small, very compact, good size screen, and the price point is really reasonable. So my daughter just started college this year, so actually this is perfect for her. Right. All right. That being said, enough talk. Let's get into the sculpting. Let me see if I have any questions here. So do me a favor, just if anything pops up, so I don't have to keep looking through the questions, just let me know and I'll answer them.
All right. Well, you already have Delfina Forrester. They're saying she saw you on El Fado in Argentina, so she's just saying hi. And
nice.
Yeah, so that they're excited to be in the webinar.
Awesome. Thank you. Glad you could come back by. Thank you. Yeah, Argentina was amazing. Food was great. Weather was great. Patricio knows I had a good time in Argentina.
Yeah, it was good. Thank you. Gracias, Delfina.
All right. So I am just kind of getting the detailing in the muscles the way that I want, just revising things. So this is one of the things that I do a lot, and in fact, it will probably help me if I turn off the color and get rid of this second light source. I just have like a bounce light on here. Just makes it a little easier to see what I got going on. So just so you know, I sculpt the same way that I paint. I'll work in large areas and then go through and refine those areas until I get something that I like. And I'm using the H polish brush right now just to kind of get some of the silhouette looking the way that I want it to look. So there's a lot of rotation that I do. Another thing that helps is isolating parts of the model. So if I look at it from this angle and I say, okay, this right arm is looking good, I like it. The left arm now, I want to work on it. In fact, let's do this. I'm going to get this hand and start to work the other hand as well. So I'm just doing a little screen capture. Skip. And I'm just taking a couple of different angles of that hand. Then if I unhide the model and grab this hand, and I want to hide everything except for the nails. They're kind of, these things are kind of in the way here. So let's turn off this and turn off these things and the rock, right? That's good. All right, now I can just zoom in on this hand and go to work. So you can see on the fingers, they're very soft still. I didn't really address these fingers. One thing that probably would have been easier, and I noticed this when I, was working on this overseas, was the, if I had made the right hand and just kind of copied and pasted it over to the other side. or worked on it with symmetry turned on. So it's okay because it's good practice. So I'm just going to rework what I've already done. This is nice. I haven't done a stream or a webinar really for Wacom in a long time. I think the last one I did was painting Nick Fury. It was a while ago. So it's always fun.
Well, that's nice to know. Thank you for taking this class with us again.
Yeah, man. You know I'm a fan.
I know. And you got a bunch of fans here asking, like, hey, we're from Argentina and super happy to see you. That Dante Saavedra.
It's awesome.
And you also have like fans from Brazil already connected. Santiago Terry.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, I love it. Got a lot of love when I went on the little trip there. So that was very fun. And it was nice seeing people's work too. It's amazing, just the fact that you know, getting to go to some of those classrooms and seeing whole studios full of, you know, Wacom products and stuff. Like back in, you know, not to age myself, but back in the day, we didn't even really do a whole lot of computer work, let alone have whole workstations. So that was fun. Now, I will admit one thing that I'm noticing, this is really the first time that I have used the one, the Wacom one, and I'm just getting used to the differences. It's kind of like when you drive a different car. It's not exactly the same as what I'm used to, but just the idea of being able to get a Cintiq at like a $400 price range is insane. Like that's a game changer. When I first got started, I wanted one of these so bad, but I just wasn't really in a position to buy one. So I had to wait a long time. I had it in tools for a long time. And then when I finally was able to pull the trigger and get I think I started off with a 22 HD. And when I bought that, it just changed everything. So I can imagine there's going to be a lot of happy college students right now. I got sidetracked from this piece. I really need to wrap it up so I can print it out. I have a 3D printer that I used to print a quarter scale Zion Williamson statue, and was so happy with it. I was like, I'm going to print all of my stuff now, and I just got sidetracked working and haven't really done what I said I was going to do. I have all this filament ready to go and everything, and I just haven't done it. So I got to get better about that. One thing I really like doing with these pieces are just giving them little hits with the H polish to give some of the spots little plainer feels. I like mixing up the roundness of the organics with nice flats, and sometimes it feels stylized, and it just really makes the piece pop off a little nicer.
Chicos, si tienen preguntas, por favor, déjenos saber con toda confianza. Mientras Mike está modelando, podemos hacer preguntas en el chat que está al lado derecho. Con todo gusto les podemos hacer pasar esas preguntas a Mike. Las pueden preguntar en inglés y también.
It's funny, Patricio, I woke up this morning and had flashbacks to our schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that was crazy, whirlwind.
Well, yeah, that was like a super busy agenda with a lot of like travel in different time zones. So,
yeah,
but it's still incredible.
We got a lot done.
Yeah, a lot of interviews. You're very popular down there now.
Nice. All right. I might have to come back soon.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That will be awesome for students and probably enjoy your classes and webinars and knowledge.
Definitely. Have you guys had another one of the programs since I was there?
Not yet. We will probably, but it's just at the end of our quarter fiscal year, so we'll try to decide plans for next year.
Cool.
Yeah. So chicos, pregunten, ¿no tienen alguna duda? Pregunta de lo que está haciendo Mike. Hey Mike, you need to tell us more about what you're doing right now so the kids make questions and then they get interested in the modeling that you're creating right now with the Black Panther.
Sure. Okay, so this piece is basically just a fan piece. I always was a big fan of Black Panther, and then when the movie came out, I got hyped about it again. So if I turn on some color here, it will make it a little easier to see what's going on. But yeah, right now I am just figuring out refining some of the anatomy and getting that stuff in order, so I can get this thing ready to print, right? So if you look, most of the detailing is there. I'm just going in and fixing stuff. It's one of those things that I do a lot, is just noodle back and forth until I get the anatomy right. You know, like I might think that something looks good and I'll walk away from it and realize that it's not as good as I expected, right? So.
Hey Mike, we got a few questions. So from Delfina, she's asking, how do you start sculpting digitally? How do you learn how to sculpt? And you can answer the question. We'll go with the second one.
Sure. So I really wasn't a big, I never really sculpted outside of the computer before. I used to play around with Sculpey, like Super Sculpey and things like that, but it just wasn't good. So when I first started using ZBrush at a necessity, I was doing some work for Hasbro and for their G.I. Joe guys. they had a line of G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra that had come out, and I just needed help figuring out some of the costumes, some of the armor and masks and stuff like that were really hard to paint without reference. So I was like, all right, well, I see this application and I see people using it to do these amazing statues and sculptures. And so I went on YouTube, I bought books, and after I got the software, I just started to slowly learn how to use it and my way around the interface. So that's it, and I never stopped.
Okay, and so the second question from Ramiro Alejandro, how sort of nephew question, sorry, I was just trying to understand the question. What is the difference between working with Clay and ZBrush, I guess?
So, I mean, so you're talking about like actually working with Clay and then working with like this virtual type of Clay?
I guess they're trying to, for what I understand, you can read the question, Mike, if you go in that bar on the question, so you can read it. This is the last question from Alejandro Ramirez. So
yeah, for some reason it's
short of new question, sorry, but what is the difference between working with a hollow clay like Mike is doing and one that is not hollow?
Hollow clay and one that's not hollow.
Yeah.
I don't really understand. I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Can you go in your bar and the software, Mike, or
yeah, it's showing, but just I mean
just click. You have to click where is the X next to the X. There's like a square, just right there.
Yeah, it's in Spanish though.
No. If you scroll down all the way down, it's in English.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I only have one line of type on mine.
And there's another question. For example, Gloria says, "Do you recommend to work better in ZBrush or 3D Max?" It's kind of like a preference, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. So I am not I'm not really good with 3D applications. So I do have Maya. I have friends that use Max, and I never really kind of got into the 3D side of it. So for me, ZBrush is great because it's almost like you're just painting the forms. And it reminds me a lot of applications I'm already used to, like Photoshop and and Painter. Yeah, for some reason, Patricio, I only see one line of question and I can't expand it. It won't let me pull it down.
Oh, you have to click on the button, like exactly. But don't worry, I can just keep reading.
Okay.
It's just if you click on the side, there's like an X and there's some like a square. You click on that and it kind of pop out like from.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it. Okay, I see it. All right. So if I scroll. Yeah, these are, let's see. Oh, here's the hollow question. Okay. Difference between working with hollow clay, like I'm doing, and one that is not hollow. What this isn't hollow, so I don't really understand the question. I'm sorry, man.
So basically saying that when you mask one of the hands, it was short of a light club. So I guess if you just
are you talking about the fact that we can see the inside of it? Is that what you mean?
I think that's what I'm trying to ask. Yes.
Yeah. So
that's why they're trying to, if you explain what you're doing, probably will be easy for them.
Sure. Okay. All right. Now it makes sense. Sorry about that. All right. So basically what you're seeing is the inside of the geometry. And that doesn't, okay, it's auto saving. Wait for it. Don't crash. Yeah. That doesn't matter. As long as there are no holes in the outside of the model. So like, say I had something like, let's say I had something like this, right? A hole like this, and then I went to print this with resin. It's not watertight anymore, and so that's going to mess up your model. But you really just need for the outside shell to be there. It doesn't really, you're never really having a solid mesh. You can basically have caps on the end of it. So if I were to hide this and then make a copy of it, I could cap the end off. So it looks like it's solid, but it's never really solid, right? It's never a solid chunk of clay. Yeah, so that's it. And it doesn't really matter, you know. You're only concerned about the outside anyway. So you can see that now it's starting to, like the details are starting to come together. Ideally, when this is done, I want it to have the level of detail of this guy right here. So this is, I don't know if anybody here is old enough to remember the Masters of the Universe or He-Man, but this was my version of Trapjaw. Oops, sorry, let me rotate this one around. Yeah, so Trapjaw is this dude, big muscle dude that had a big metal mouth. And if we zoom in on it, see if I can get it zoom in. Come on. Okay. Yeah, if we zoom in on it, you can see the deal. Right, like skin pores, veins. He's not wearing a shirt, obviously, so you're going to see all of this stuff. On Black Panther, you're not going to see skin pores, right? But you can still kind of see the veins through a suit. If I choose to make it stylized, or if I'm going to have things like panels cut into his pants, like the panels I have on this guy's pants, I could have that on Black Panther, and make it look more like the movie. So that's all stuff that you build up to it, right? Like you just keep doing more and more detail until you end up with all of these levels of high frequency detail. Everything starts off looking kind of bad and doughy, and eventually you just dial in more and more detail until it starts to look good.
And Mike, you got a question from Armando Contreras. So thank you, Armando. So what is the difference in the details from a normal print model and miniature one? Should they be prepared in some specific way?
So for the larger models, you're probably going to want to cut and key them, which means that you cut them into pieces depending upon where the seams are. You want to hide things like the seams where they come together. So if I was going to print this Black Panther and I wanted to do it on a larger scale, then I would probably chop off his legs at the crotch so that when you put it together, there's not a big ugly seam like if I just kind of cut it in the middle of his thigh, right? So that's one of the things that you do with the larger scale models, or statues rather. But if it were going to be a miniature, then you probably could just print it all out as one piece. You know, as long as you don't have any bad undercuts, you would be fine. So when you see those Warcraft guys, the little tiny Warcraft guys, they're very detailed, but because they're so small, they probably can print them out without having to do any cuts.
Well, Armando, creo que ya quedó la respuesta para tu pregunta. Chicos, por favor, aprovechen que está Mike presentando este gran trabajo. Sin pena, de verdad, pueden escribir en español todas sus dudas en relación a desde el software, producto, tablet, técnicas que Mike utiliza con todo gusto. Go ahead, Mike. I was just explaining that you make any questions, like take advantage of your basically taking this personal class to you.
Definitely. Yeah, if you guys want to know anything, just give me a shout. I'd be happy to answer. So one of the questions I get from people a lot are how long do these pieces take? And it's interesting because I've never really worked straight through on a piece all the way to completion before recently, because I'm working on one for a client now. And actually, last summer I did for a movie, like an FX house, where I had to do a couple of takes on a maquette, and I spent, I think, I want to say I spent like it was either 3 weeks or a month doing the statue. There was a lot of detail. The character had wings, and so I had to figure all that out in addition to a couple different poses. But sometimes they can go pretty quickly, but I noticed that as I start to add more and more detail, the hours just really kind of pile up. I know people that do speed sculpts, like they just blaze through things really quickly. And, you know, kudos to people who can work fast like that. I don't paint that way, and I don't really sculpt that way either. I do spend a lot of time kind of looking for areas that can be better. So I would rather spend the extra time than to be done and turn it in and then later on look at it and not be happy, you know.
And we got like a Jaime Lita. It says like, wow, it's amazing how you manage the anatomy of this sculpture. So they're very surprised with your work. Thank you,
Oh,
Jaime.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, because I'm working on a new tablet, it's just a learning curve. But thank you very much. All right, so you can see that places like this back foot here and this whole leg are very soft compared to the other leg. So that's something that I can get into now, actually. And I just want to make sure that I don't change the proportions too much. I'm looking in the calf on his back leg seems to be smaller than the one on the front leg. So because I haven't really spent a whole lot of time detailing it yet, now is a good time to go in and fix those proportions. I'm just making it larger. You can see as I do, it's penetrating the silver detail here, but that's okay because I can just fix that. That's the great thing about sculpting digitally, is that you really can't mess it up. You know what I mean? Like, you can always go in and fix something. Same with painting. I noticed that when I would paint on canvas, and I'd spend all these hours, and then it's very easy to do something that can just really push you back and make you feel like you just messed the piece up. And same with sculpting in clay. So I'm sculpting right now with monster clay. And I noticed that, you know, I get something I really like, and then for whatever reason, I grab it or something happens and I might mess up the detail and I have to resculpt that area. Digitally, it's not that big a deal. I can even make morph target for these things or a layer and preserve all the details so that if I were to go in and just do something that was comparable to this, I could just revert back to what it was before. So.
Nice. Well, you got now Javier from Spain. Thank you, Javier, for joining us. They're asking a very important question. Mike says, when you gonna start uploading more content on your YouTube page? I guess they follow you.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's a great question.
This is a super fan of your videos.
Nice. Okay, well, listen, do me a favor and on either reach out to me on any of my social media or on YouTube and tell me what you would like to see a video on. I'm assuming you're talking about the microps. If you ask me to do a video for anything, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's not a program I don't really know, like my Max. I'd be happy to do a video and pop up there for you.
And he is also asking for reference, like for photos and modeling, for characters, posing. Do you have any sites or good books that they can refer in the future?
Definitely. So if you want anatomy reference, I actually just bought a couple of these 3D total anatomy figures. And if you look on my Instagram, I started painting the woman. They come with like half of it is it's écorché, so you have the skin is kind of peeled away and you see the musculature and the bones and stuff on one side, and then the other side is just like the regular skin and all that. Those are fantastic. I'm looking at one right now for reference on this guy. And for books, there are really a ton of great books. There's one in particular that I love that's called Strength Training Anatomy. And I can't remember the name of the publisher, the writer rather, but it's on Amazon. And I think I might have a picture of it on my Instagram, but really, really good reference. And then YouTube, like, just there's amazing. YouTube has everything, you know what I mean? So like you can just find stuff like that. As far as posing is concerned, that's one of those things where on Pinterest, you can find poses for everything. And in fact, if you go to my Pinterest page, everything for me is Mike T Artworks. So if you go to my Pinterest, I believe it's at Mike T Artworks, I have pages or folders rather that have some really good reference of posing and anatomy and all that stuff.
Well, thank you, Javier. Espero que haya respondido tu pregunta, Mike. Si tienen más preguntas, con gusto, en caso de las referencias.
Definitely. Thanks for the questions, man.
And then Gabriela is asking, like, this is a great job. What kind of tablet do you use to create this, Mike?
Sure. So normally for my day-to-day, I use the Wacom 32 Pro, which is the 32-inch Cintiq. It's really like that's a bad boy. So I use that for most of my client work and when I'm at my computer. Today I am not at my computer. I ended up ordering a piece for it. It's down right now, but I'm on my laptop and I'm on the Cintiq One right now. When I normally work on here, I'm on the 16 Pro. That's the right name of it, right, Patricio?
Yes.
The Pro. Yeah. And I love that a lot. So I have a lot of Wacom products. I have a Mobile Studio Pro that I enjoy as well. It's an older model, but I like that. Anything that I can draw right on the screen is a real plus for me.
Yeah. And then in that note, Gabriel is asking, what inspires you to do this hard work? And I guess he wants to find your purpose, I guess.
Sure. So I've always been a fan of superheroes. Like I grew up just loving them. And in fact, when I was younger, when I, anybody who went to any of the sessions that I had when I was in South America will know this. But yeah, one of the things that my dad would do when I got good grades was bring home comic books for me. So I would go out of my way to make sure that I was getting the grades so I could build up my comic collection. And then I started drawing them, and drawing turned into painting, and then painting turned into sculpting, and that's where I am now. So I'm kind of blessed enough to be able to get paid to do it now. Before it was just a hobby, but it took a long time to get here. So I would just be persistent. If you're thinking about doing it for a living and it takes a while to break in, definitely don't give up. Just keep going until somebody notices you. Thanks for that question, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, so I believe, now if I go into if I zoom in, the new version of ZBrush has this little icon on the little thumbnail preview on the left-hand side here, which is nice because I can check the volumes with the silhouette, and I can just see if there's a part that looks especially skinny, like he skipped leg day or whatever, I can go in and work on that. Or something that's too big, I can see it. It's easier to see it as a silhouette than it is with all the shadow and the highlights and everything. So, all right, but now I want to detail this leg. Solo him. I just want to work on the leg. Being able to hide stuff is very helpful too. I can go in and make polygroups for all of these areas, so I can just turn them on and off as well. There's a whole lot of ways to make this process really easy, but sometimes you can't reach areas, and being able to hide other areas in order to get to them is like a nice little workaround. Anatomy is one of those things too that you never really stop learning, just like any kind of art thing. You're always learning until you die. So it's one of those things where I've progressed. I by no means think that I've arrived. That's why I have so much reference, and I like to show stuff to friends of mine and get their opinion sometimes, or family members, because you're never really done learning. I found an old Hulk the other day, Patricio.
Yeah?
Yeah, that I sculpted. Well, I sculpted this thing, man, I think I sculpted this when I first started messing with ZBrush, and I could have swore that like it was the best thing ever. And I looked at it and I was just like, yikes, this thing is terrible. Which you couldn't tell me anything back then, though.
And the one that you just modeled, just right now you show, that's the most recent one?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. How do you like the experience working on the Wacom one, huh?
On the one, I like it. I actually am very pleasantly surprised at, going from a pro level to an entry level, and the fact that I'm able to do all the stuff that I normally would do on my pro stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
So just for the ad, I guess. So chicos, vamos a tener producto ya en Latinoamérica de Wacom One. Con todo gusto, si tienen dudas, preguntas, pueden ver más información relacionada al producto en el sitio de wacom.com. Hay una preventa incluso especial ahorita corriendo para ciertos países. Chéquenlo. Les recomiendo que nos sigan en nuestras redes sociales, en Wacom en español, y ahí van a encontrar las promociones especiales que tenemos para Wacom One, este producto que está probando ahorita Mike.
Yeah, I imagine if this was out when we were doing the tour, I would have been signing the backs of a lot of these instead of the Intuos.
I know. Yeah, it's a really fantastic product, really good for the market, like a professional type of students that are just getting that professional area. They would love the product for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, my daughter's a freshman in college right now, and she loves artwork and she's constantly painting and doing digital painting and stuff like that. And then when I told her about this thing, she got super excited because obviously, you know, she doesn't want to take a $1,200, $2,000 thing to college, but
Yeah.
something like this is perfect.
That's great. Thank you for sharing, Mike.
Yeah, man. You know, I'm excited to try it out with my Note too. That's the other thing. I have a Samsung Note, and I like to be able to paint on the go, but using the little tiny stylus that comes inside of the Note is kind of a problem. So when I read that you can hook this thing up to it and paint on your phone with it, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to try that out too.
Yeah, I work for an Android, so that's very good. And actually, that's very important for Latin America. They got a lot of Android devices. So now, like you're saying, on the go, now they can just start creating in a simple way to connect with the Wacom.
Definitely.
But those legs are very impressive, Mike. I mean, the sculpting is just, I guess it's just the beginning because there gotta be much detail on that leg.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
So, Mike, what is your next project? What are you working right now? Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm doing this thing for Sideshow. I can't really talk about it yet, but I'm super excited. And then when that's done, I think I'm going to do another piece for them. I found out that a couple of the movie posters I worked on won Clio awards, which was pretty awesome. So
Congratulations, that sounds great.
Thanks, man. Yeah. So I mean, people don't really know what Clios are, but in the advertising world, the Clio is kind of like an Oscar.
Yeah,
So,
they're big in advertising. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited about. I gotta get one of those in here. Got one for my Deadpool piece.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I did a billboard for Deadpool 2, and that one.
Oh, yeah. That's sweet.
Thanks, man. That's the thing. I love painting. Like I'll stop what I'm doing to paint something, especially for a movie poster, because I also watch a lot of movies. And sometimes they get used, sometimes they don't, but they're always really fun to work on. I just did some stuff for that Harley Quinn movie that wasn't used, but I'm still going to go see the movie.
Oh, the birds, what's it called? That house?
Yeah, Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, we got the last 10 minutes. I mean, so just so you know, and then we can probably wrap it up on the webinar. So, kids, si tienen más preguntas, aprovechen que Mike está acá. And Mike, is your last 10 minutes for the webinar.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Oh no. Well.
Patrick's running late.
Talk about timing. I thought I had this
Not good.
That's not good. You know, we had a stream last week for Pixel Logic. It died on me like right in the last 2 minutes. So,
Oh,
how much battery I have left here? That's not good. Hold on one second. I'll die here. That did anything. Okay, that's what it was. I didn't have the light switch on, so now it's charging. Okay, cool. Anyway, okay, so 10 minutes left. Let's get his head back on his shoulders, because I always thought that looked weird. I just did them as two separate pieces.
so we got Delphina asking you, Mike, where is a good place to post their artwork as a kid? I mean, I guess as a student or just in general, what would be a good site as a reference?
To post your work?
Yes.
ArtStation, without a doubt. ArtStation is the best. Yeah.
Nice.
There's a lot of professionals on there. There's a lot of enthusiasts on there, and you get a lot of feedback. So that's one of my favorite places to post my work.
Wow.
So now what I said I was thinking about doing before, I'm gonna do that now actually. I think I'm just gonna take this hand and make a copy of it. And I can do this in 9 minutes. Yeah, so I'm gonna make a copy of that and delete everything that's hidden. And then I want to flip it and paste it on the other side here. So if I can get this to work. Delete hidden. Oh, okay. And delete hidden. All right, so we might go a couple minutes long, Patricio.
All good.
Yeah, mirror that. Okay, so now the hand's over there. All right, so if I turn back on this one and unhide everything. Oh, this one, hide everything. All right, there's the body. So if I kind of just get it in the general area, what I can do is I can, oops, I'm just rotating this now with a gizmo. I can replace the hand that's already on here, and this one already has all my detail. So this is a good cheat when you go and spend a really long time sculpting something and it's kind of symmetrical. Maybe you already broke symmetry. This is one way to get around that. Right, so I like that there. Back over here. I'll hide this hand. All right. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to clean it up. But what I can do now is I can, like that. Okay. So now if I go back to the body and I flip, there's my old hand, right? I don't want that anymore, so I'm going to delete it. First, I need to delete the lower subdivision levels. And then I can delete hidden. And then I can show everything. So now I'm going to use the Boolean feature in ZBrush, and it's going to take these three elements. I have the head, a new hand, and the body, and it's going to merge all these things together. So if I go to Boolean, and I first turn on the Boolean here. Oops. Here it is, turn that on. And then I'm gonna come over here for the, I don't want any open areas. So this is kind of what the question earlier about it being hollow. I'm gonna close these open areas. So I'll just put close holes and see how that made a cap there. Now it looks solid. I wanna do that for the body also. So the body now has a hole in his hand. I wanna also close holes. And that's closed. His head should be solid, which it is. Okay, so now I can turn all this on. What you doing over there, Patricia?
What's up? I'm just watching you create that Black Panther. I kind of want to print a real one.
You do. All right, yeah, no, you're the first person I'm sending a copy to.
Even if it's a small one, I mean, I don't need a big one, but yeah, it just looks incredible.
Thanks, man. I got you. And then you know what I'm gonna do next? Blade.
Yes, I know.
All right. So this is kind of, oops, no. This is kind of where I want it to be. It doesn't matter that it's kind of wonky because I'm going to clean that up after I join these together, right? So now I have my hand, my body, my head. I have the Boolean turned on. So if I go down under Boolean and I hit make Boolean mesh, what it's going to do is it's going to take these three elements and it's going to weld them together in a new Z tool. So it's thinking about it right now. It's calculating it. All right. So if we go back up here, then here is the one that's put together. So if I turn on the poly frame, you can see that now this is all kind of one thing, even though it has different groups. So what I can do is I can make it all one group. And then I can come over to these areas that look kind of messed up here. And I can use my Sculptris Pro to get them clean, right? So I'm just going to go to standard brush. I'm going to turn on Sculptris Pro. And now if I was to start to smooth, it gets rid of those edges. Like everything kind of smooths out and becomes one thing. This is Sculptris Pro. If you use ZBrush, if you know about it, is super powerful. If I did my Venom, I have a Venom that let me show you real quick. Open. So this Venom was done using Sculptris Pro. This all started off as a sphere. And so basically it was a ball that I just dragged out and I just added detail and I used the Sculptris Pro to smooth it and it cleans up the mesh and then I just drag it out and you can add resolution to it just by using the Sculptris Pro without having to use any extra stuff. So that's what I'm doing here, and cleaning it up, right? So then once I get something that's clean, I'll do a Z-remesh so that it's nice and I have my quads back again and I can make it a lower subdivision level and I can keep sculpting. I do this a lot, like a whole lot of back and forth. But the good thing about this is now this is all one piece, right? As opposed to having several pieces. And even the head is now on his body, which is nice. So I can just take this piece now if I wanted to and copy it. And then go back to my original working one and turn off these three things and then just paste the new body in and I can start to turn on the different stuff. And if I want to add, like, it took away that color that I had on it, but if I wanted to go and add the color again, I would just select the color that I want and go to RGB and fill it. And then I have my thing back again, right? So I can start to turn on the little silver bits, the eyes, and the base. And when I'm done, it starts to look good, right? Well, now one thing I didn't take into consideration is I should have copied the nails with it, but it's easy enough for me just to move these later on. So see, the nails kind of moved out of position. If I were to grab them, I could just kind of move them over to where they're supposed to be. And kind of get them in position one by one. So this is one thing that when it's done, it's always nice to have stuff as simplified as possible so you can keep track of what's going on. And I definitely didn't want to have any seams when I'm printing this for him. So I can see right here that this little part that's a problem, go in and fix it. And then that's that. So trying to get on these nails again. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's kind of it, guys.
Thank you, Mike. Well, we really appreciate your time, Mike. Just so you know, we will repost this session on our channels, and
Okay.
we'll share you the link so more fans of yours will see the class. So I'm just going to translate that for all the people who are connected. So chicos, vamos a tener este webinar en nuestras redes sociales de Wacom en español. So por favor, esténse pendientes, será publicado pronto. Aquí Mike está compartiendo ya sus redes sociales también para que le den un like. Y Walt, Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you. And yeah, if you guys aren't already, give me a follow on these things that are on your screen right here, and give me a shout. I'll be happy to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Gracias, chicos. Y thank you, Mike. That was a great class. Talk to you soon. Wacom Webinars. Muy pronto más. Por favor, sigan conectados y síganos. Muchas gracias y hasta luego. See you, Mike.
Cool. See you, man. Bye.